Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be doing a fall reading vlog. It is officially October, and so that means I am wanting to read all the spooky, atmospheric fantasy books that I can get my hands on. In today's video, I'm going to be reading some kind of more fantasy-driven books. I'm going to be tackling Alchemized by Senlin Yu. I am so scared. I bought this not last week, but the week before. This is 1,000 pages. I haven't read a book that was 1,000 pages since I did my Kingdom of Ash reread last year, and so honestly, I don't even remember how long that took me. I started this yesterday, and by started, I mean I got around 25 pages in. Really not that much, but anything was progress at that point. I'm hoping to sit down now and to get a little bit more into it. I will say that this is traditionally published Dramini fanfiction, a very, very popular Dramini fanfiction, but I do know that the rewritten work is very, very different. Not very different, but different from what the fanfiction was. I personally never read the fanfiction. I had always seen so many people talk about it. I have been enjoying the traditionally published Dramini fanfictions that have been coming out. I really don't know what to expect in this book. I'll just read you what this says because honestly, I don't know what this is fully about. So it says, in a riveting dark fantasy debut, a woman with missing memories fights to survive a war-torn world of necromancy and alchemy, and the man tasked with unearthing the deepest secrets of her past. Then it also says, once a promising alchemist, Helena Marino is now a prisoner of war and her own mind. Her resistance friends and allies have been brutally murdered, her abilities suppressed, and the world she knew destroyed. In the aftermath of a long war, Palladia's new ruling class of corrupt guild families and depraved necromancers, who vile undead creatures helping bring about their victory, holds Helena captive. According to resistance records, she was a healer of little importance within their ranks, but Helena has inexplicable memory loss of the months leading up to her capture, making her enemies wonder, is she truly as insignificant as she appears, or are her lost memories hiding some vital piece of the Resistance final gambit? To uncover the memories buried deep within her mind, Helena is sent to the High Reeve, one of the most powerful and ruthless necromancers in this new world. Trapped on his crumbling estate, Helena's fight to protect her lost history and to preserve the last remaining shreds of her former self is just beginning. For her prison and captor have secrets of their own, secrets Helena must unearth, whatever the cost. So far, she's just not really knowing what's going on. That's like the only thing I want to say. She's captive, and I honestly have no idea what's going to happen. All I know is that so many people have said that this is their favorite book of the year, the best book they've read this year, and I know that they have sobbed at the end and said that they are unwell. This is emotionally damaging, so I am ready. I'm ready. I want to know what's going to happen. I am just ready to find out what's going to go on. I'm going to dive into this and hopefully get a good ways into it. If I could get 100 pages into this right now, I would be so happy. But will I? I don't know, because I'm going kind of slow. I'm going a little bit slow just because there are a lot of new words, a lot of new terms I'm not really fully familiar with yet. I'm also hoping to get through Bride by Ali Hazelwood in this video as well. Mate, the second book to Bride, comes out this week, so would love to get to Bride and do a reread because I don't really remember much of what happens. And hopefully also just have like a palate cleanser book. I know that this book is very heavy at times, so I'm hoping to be okay. I'm joined by my companion. Let me show you. My little companion here. So hopefully I can, it's 250. Maybe I could get to page 100. If I could, I would be very, very happy. I have a feeling that this book is going to take me a long time to read, so I don't know about this. So I'll do the best I can, and I will see you guys in a second. Hi everybody. Hi everybody. And it is a long time later. I hate to say that, but it really honestly is. What's up? Oh, thank you. I hate to say it, but it honestly is around a week later, and I was really hoping to be more updated with at least what I've been filming and how far I am into Alchemized. But I have some other updates in regards to some other books that I have finished in this past week. This past week, I have been so incredibly busy with school and everything that I have come home and I don't have any time to read like I normally do or like I used to do. I apologize if you hear squeaking in the background. So I've been relying a lot on audiobooks and I didn't have the audiobook of Alchemize to rely on to get through it throughout the past week. So I have gotten through other books that are audiobooks. So let me update you on those. This previous week, I was listening to the audiobook of The Academy by Ellen Hildebrand and her daughter Shelby Cunningham, who wrote the book with her. This was a buddy read with my mom. So I had the audiobook through the library. And basically, this just follows a very drama-filled year at a New England boarding school. They were recently named #2 boarding school in the country after previously been like number 17, like super low on the list. And now they are very high on the list, and nobody really knows why. This was my first ever Ellen Hildebrand book. I really don't have any other like expectations or previous knowledge as to what to expect in some of her books. I know that some people that have read a lot of other Ellen Hildebrand's books didn't really enjoy this one. And I will say that this book is very young. If you are maybe like 40 to 60, you might not know some of the references. And I say that because I feel like a lot of the targeted demographic and a lot of the people that do read Ellen's books are in that like age range. Maybe they don't like this book. I can definitely see that, you know, it's a very modern book. Very modern. Personally, I did not mind that. I feel like it was just very interesting for the drama aspect. I think I would probably give it like a 3.5 to a 3, just because it took me a little bit to get into it. I do think that at first, there's a lot of characters. You're following a lot of different people. So it does make sense that it's a little bit confusing and you really have to try to get used to who's who at first. But I think overall, it still was a pretty interesting storyline. I couldn't believe some of the things that were happening. I was like, oh my gosh. There will be a second book to this, I know. So I'm interested to see the next year at the school and everything that happens. Overall, it took me like a lot to get into it, like around halfway probably, to like really get interested. And I only really like got more interested and started listening to it more is because I was doing stuff and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put this on and listen to it. I just need to like be doing stuff in the background. Yeah, not bad. I definitely can see why some people might not love it. Definitely very drama filled, very drama filled. So that was The Academy by Ellen Hildebrand. And then I also, on Tuesday, Mate by Ali Hazelwood came out. And if you don't know that this is the second book to her book Bride, which is a vampire werewolf romance. This book is the second book. I read Bride when it came out last year, and I think I gave it around a 3.75 to a 3.5. I don't fully remember what I gave it. And I never really wrote like a proper review for it either. So I don't really know fully what I thought, but I decided that with Mate coming out, I really didn't remember a lot of what happened in Bride. So I wanted to do a reread, but I knew I was gonna be too busy and not be able to get through the book, through the physical book of Bride. As soon as Tuesday came, Mate became available at the library because I had it on hold. So I was like, no way am I going to finish the physical book of Bride before my library hold is due, or for my library due date is. So 3 years ago, I used to have Audible on my parents' Amazon. And I remember, I think when I canceled it, I guess I just never knew I had an extra credit in there. So when I logged on, I saw I had not 1 but 2 credits. Oh, I was so happy. So I got the audiobook of both Bride, and then I was like, okay, I need help with Alchemized. So I got the audiobook of Alchemized as well. Haven't started it yet because I want to get through Mate because my due date is, I only have 2 weeks to listen to it. On Thursday, I started Bride and I basically finished it that day. I think I had around an hour left yesterday to finish it. So yesterday, I finished the audiobook of Bride, and boy, oh boy, tell me why I loved it. Not like tell me why, because obviously I love Ali's books. I am not a stranger to like the whole like werewolf romance thing. So I knew like, and I've already read it, I knew what to expect going into it. And even before that, I knew what to expect going into it when I read it for the first time. Granted, I can see why not everybody likes it and why it's not everybody's cup of tea. I just loved it so much more this time around. I thought that it was just so entertaining. Let me tell you what it's about. Bride is like I said, a vampire and a werewolf romance. Basically, you see that Misery, our main female character, is the daughter of a very influential vampire on the board, and she was serving as, not really serving, she didn't really have a choice, was serving as this human collateral when she was a child. Let's say a vampire killed a human, the humans would then kill Misery as their collateral. Very that type of thing. So when she got free, she was living in the human world. Not that it's a world, it's more just there's a vampire territory, human territory, and then werewolf territory. So she was living amongst the humans, and then eventually her father's like, oh, well, you're getting engaged to this werewolf now, to have an alliance between them. So her friend is missing, and so she basically agrees to marry him, so hopefully they can help find her friend. It goes from there. I just had so much fun listening to this. Like I said, I love Allie's books. She's one of my favorite authors. And I don't know why, reading this the first time, I just was okay about it. This time though, oh, I loved it. I thought it was so fun. I think I would probably give it around a 4.25 to 4.5. I just had so much fun. And I have no notes. It was a great refresher. I really needed it because I had no idea what to expect going into Mate. Definitely, I devoured it. I thought it was so enjoyable, so easy, and I just was having a great time. I am 2 hours and 17 minutes into Mate. I don't really have any notes so far. This basically follows Misery's Bride. It follows her best friend, Serena. Serena is kind of in hiding, on the run, and you see that she's with this pack of werewolves. So you just kind of see that so far. I really don't even know what the full plot line is of this. I'm very excited. I cannot wait. I am hoping to finish it soon, maybe beginning of next week, and then hopefully I can start listening to Alchemized and get through it more, because I think I'm only around 60 pages in. Hi everybody and happy Wednesday. So yesterday I finished the audiobook of Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I enjoyed it. I had a really fun time reading it. I thought it was very, very entertaining. I would probably give it around a 4-star. I'm not sure if I like Bride. I think I like Bride more than I like Mate. I'm not sure. Really did enjoy both. I do just think I like Bride maybe a little bit more, but I had a ton of fun with Mate. It was entertaining, it was fun. I think all of Allie's books are just such a fun time. Basically, you're following Serena, who is a half human, half werewolf hybrid, and within this she is the first of her kind basically, and that puts a pretty big target on her back. So she has to almost not go into hiding, but just be very conscious of these people that are trying to get to her to either kill her or abduct her and do experiments on her. It goes into that storyline, and then you're kind of discovering some things about her family and her past because she is an orphan. You see Cohen, who is our main male character, who is a leader of one of the werewolf packs. You're seeing how he is kind of playing into her story. The banter was great in this. It was funny. It was witty. I think all of Ellie's books are pretty on par with that type of almost comedy aspect. So I really enjoyed that. Had a great time as always. So that was Mate. Once I finished the audiobook of Mate, I really started listening. Well, not really. I tried, and I'm trying to get farther into Alchemized by Senlin Yu. Here, I don't have the dust jacket on the cover, but this book is a brick, okay? It might not look like it upon first glance. This is a 1,000 page book. I don't know if it's over 1,000 pages. It is a little bit. It's just over 1,000 pages. And I think when I was reading it physically, I got to around page 80, and that took me 2 weeks because I've been so busy. I have not had the time to sit down and read physically, which is so sad to me because I miss it so much, but I just truly am so busy. I apologize if you hear my boyfriend playing video games in the background. So I've been listening to the audiobook, and I started yesterday and I got to page 164, which is chapter 12. The audiobook says that I have 18 hours and 2 minutes left, and I'm listening to it on 1.7 times speed just because the narrator does have not an English accent, but like a little bit of an accent. And so 2 times speed was a little bit too quick because I wanted to like fully digest everything that is being said. And 1.5 was a little bit too slow. So I did 1.7. Hopefully once I get more like used to the voices and everything, I can go to 2 because that will help me get through it a little bit faster. But I'm really trying so hard to, when I am listening to it, to be so intentional about listening to every single thing that is being said and be present when I'm listening to it. So if I notice my mind is starting to like drift off, I just stop because I'm like, I want to be paying attention to this. I don't know what happens in this book exactly. I think I already said what this book was about, I really hope. I don't know exactly what happens in this book. I know that some people have read the fanfic, and I know this is very different from the fanfic, but I haven't read the fanfic. I don't know. I know a little bit of like maybe something that's gonna happen, but I don't know how it plays out. I don't know what the ending is, and I'm trying to like pick up on things that I think will be important later in the book. Just because this is such a long book, I know so much happens, which is so crazy because I feel like a lot of information is already being given. So I'm like, what else is going to happen? I know that there are 3 parts in this book, and I know that some people were saying that once you get through part 2, you should go back and reread part 1 to see everything you missed. I don't think I have that type of commitment to do that right now. Maybe one day I'll go back and like reread it. But I am it's very interesting so far. It's very, very unique and it's very intricate. And with that, sometimes I am a little bit confused just because there are a lot of like names in terms of like certain categories of what you can be. Like there's alchemizers, but then there's also like vivimizers and necromancers and some other like terms or ways that they like use their magic and everything. So I'm trying to digest everything and get acclimated to what is going on. So far, our main female character, Helena, is basically, she was a part of this war. Okay, she doesn't really have a lot of memories from the war. There's like at least a year that she's like unaccounted for in her memories. And so you see that the side that she was fighting for lost, and so now she's being held by these opposing people that won, and they're trying to find out who she is and what her memories were that hopefully are something important. And so you're kind of like seeing that, and then you're slowly learning some other stuff. Like I said, a lot going on and a lot of information, and I'm trying my best to remember everything. I think so far I'm doing pretty good. I know that they're starting to talk about and hint at the one thing I do know that plays a bigger part later. I don't know how big of a part, but I know plays a different role later on in the story. So I'm trying to like, okay, they're talking about this, so like I need to remember this. I'm really, really hoping to get through more of this. If I could get to page like 250 of this today, hopefully that would be amazing. I am planning on going to go vacuum and mop. So I'll put my headphones on and hopefully get through some of that as I'm doing that. And then I have to make dinner, so hopefully I can keep listening. And I do need to go to bed early, but I would love to maybe read a little bit physically as well, just because I can read it faster physically than what I'm currently listening to it on the audiobook, or at least hypothetically I could. So let me go vacuum, let me go mop. Hi guys. Hi everybody. It is Friday. It's been a couple days since I last updated, and I'm sorry if you hear him walking around in the background, but I have actually quite a big update. The past 2 days since I updated, I've been putting in a lot of work to get through Alchemized. I have mostly been listening to the audiobook, and let me tell you where I'm at. I feel like at first, when I started listening to the audiobook, I felt like I was getting a lot of progress. I felt like I was really making some moves. And then when I was looking at how much time I had left, I was like, wow, I really am not making a lot of progress. But I think now I'm starting to see more progress, and mostly because I'm over halfway through the book. I really honestly, going into this, had no idea about anything. I had like a very, very slim knowledge. I knew that the story was broken into 3 parts, and I knew that there was a part in the book that was a lot of like, was a flashback almost. So I'm at that part now where we are in the flashback. You're reading about it like it's present time. Even though I was so interested in, going into this book and everything that I had heard about it, I was so invested and just really wanted to know about it. it did take me a little bit to get into the story and just to get used to it, because it is a big adjustment when you are reading this big book, which it might not look big, but it's big and it's heavy. And when you're going into this, there is so much to learn and so much to get acclimated to. You're in this very complex, honestly, fantasy world where there are so many different names and so many different terms. Honestly, even like some of the things that are talked about, and I'm over halfway through, I still don't really have like a concrete definition as to like what they are. Like, I know like what they're referencing to, but like I'm almost like, I don't really know exactly what this is. I just go along for the story and hope eventually I'll, you know, get used to it enough that I'm familiar. Physically, I am on chapter 48. I'm on page 590. Again, there's 1,000 pages, so I'm a little over halfway through. So far, the story is very, very complex. And I think because it covers so many difficult things in the terms of the beginning is absolutely heartbreaking with everything that you see our main female character go through. And then it gets like even worse. And then you are immediately like, this really terrible thing is happening. You're switching and going, you know, a flashback almost. And you're in this flashback for a majority of the book. Let me check and see. So you're in this flashback from chapter 22 all the way up until chapter 65. Is that a spoiler? I don't really know. I don't think it's a spoiler, but that's a long time. That's a majority of the book. And so I'm learning a lot about everything that's inner working. You see Helena go through this crazy journey that I think is such a hard ask, because she's so willing to prove her worth and prove that she'll do whatever it takes. And you just see how people are almost taking advantage of that in a way. So it's almost like to a point where I'm like, girl, I get it and I understand why she's doing it, but I just feel bad that she's having to go through all of this and never really put herself first. And then on top of that, deal with these terrible conflicting feelings that she is experiencing. She needs a hug is what she needs. But I'm gonna keep reading. I've really been enjoying the audiobook. So I'm gonna probably sit and maybe do both. Maybe kind of follow along as I'm listening to the audiobook, because I'm so tired. I'm so tired, honestly, that I don't even want to do anything. That's my update for now. I am really, really, really hoping to finish this by Sunday. Hi guys, I am in the thick of Alchemized. This is just the cover, but I have the book right here. This is how far I am, and this is how much I have left. I got through a lot of it today. It's Saturday and I did my nails. I did some French. So while I did my nails, I listened to the audiobook. I did laundry, listened to the audiobook, went for a walk, listened to the audiobook. I have officially gotten to part 3. I finished part 2 and then I literally had to stop. I was like, okay, I need to take some time and think about what I just read, because I am heartbroken, okay? So much has happened. Hi guys, and it is Sunday and it is the last day that I'm filming this video, and it also is the day that I have officially finished reading Alchemized. Last night I got to around page 940, I think. So I was around like 100 pages left today, a little less than 100. But last night I was listening to the audiobook and I was following along as I was listening to it, which is something that I'm actually starting to enjoy now, because I don't know, sometimes I kind of like stray and I get like a little bit nosy and I'll start to like, as soon as I flip the page, I'll start reading, but then I'm like, okay, let me see like what's happening over here. And then I need to like be like, no, I need to go back. So it just helped me kind of like stay on track. And then today I was able to mostly listen to the audiobook, but I did read physically a little bit. And I actually was so surprised by the ending in terms of how everything wrapped up. I really was not expecting that, and it was very, very heartbreaking. It's such a heavy story, and it's such a sad story. It is honestly a very, very heartbreaking story to follow along with, just in the sense that these characters are trying to do what they can to survive, and you see how it's almost like no matter what choice they're making, it almost just feels like they're getting beat down anyway. So yeah, I was so honestly surprised by how this proceeded, not in the sense of like that it was totally like not expected, but I just thought that surely something bad would happen, and I gave this 5 stars. I think I will probably keep it at a 5-star. If not, it's definitely going to be a 4.5 or higher, just in the sense that I wanted to know so badly what was going to happen when I was reading this, and I felt so bad for the characters and everything that they had to go through. And I think it was a genius way to lay out the story with the 3 parts and the way in which they were told. I think that this was a masterpiece and very, very well done. This book was very, very masterfully created, and I had a great, terrible time reading it. This morning, I finished reading Warrior Princess Knight by Bridget Kemmerer, and I gave this like a 3.5. This was like my before bed book, so it was like just a book that I had on my phone that when I get into bed at night, this is what I read to fall asleep. And I don't know if I mentioned anything about reading it. I've been reading it for probably around the past like 2 weeks. Yeah, I started it 10 days ago. It might have been a little bit more. It's probably like around 2 weeks ago. And basically this book follows our main female character, Jory, and she is a princess, and basically her brother making this alliance with this king of a different country. It is an arranged marriage. Within this alliance, you see that Jory's childhood best friend is actually an assassin, and he received orders that he has to kill both of them. So it basically just takes them on this journey, a little bit of a love triangle, kind of, not really, but kind of. And you just see how they're trying not to, you know, die. I thought it was entertaining. I thought the magic systems and the world was pretty interesting, but for a lot of the book, it was not a lot happening. It was a lot of, I don't know if I would say it was character driven. It was a little bit in the terms of like, you're learning more about the characters. It's like a lot of the background. Jory was a little boring, but still, I had a good time. It was entertaining. I was interested. I wanted to know what was gonna happen next. Just wasn't anything crazy. Looking back, I was like, yeah, I do agree that like not a ton happened in this. Yeah, still a fun time. I'll read the second one. I hope you guys enjoyed my reading vlog, and if you've read any of these books, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you've read Alchemized, let me know your thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. Bye!